ki yisod nirmaz b'milas yechane, shuhu gematria imakolel po, which is gevura, which is elokem, which is gevura. Shuhu gematria elokem, shuhu gevura sheba small, so it means that the yisod has within it this nature. Kira yisod noita, the small, so this is what he says, the yisod is inclined towards the left. Now let me see, where is it that we're at? Am I in the right place? I'm in the wrong place. I really apologize. I'm running here. Let's start from excuse me, number mem bet. Wow. So mem bet after nibba gimel, so we have the number 3 of Hashem Yisroel Yechane, hu trin itrin dedas. So this refers to the two itrin dedas. I forgot what they was talking about. Let's try to pick it up. Yisroel Shir Kael. So we had that before. Here's this word Kael again. Yisroel is really those two words. Shir be'itra de chesed. So the shir really refers to itra de chesed. We have the opposite. He mentioned that really I think the whole the opposite. And the Kael be'itra de gevura. So he said Yaakov. So it's also called by the name Yaakov. Yaakov is what? The small zeranpin when he's only a vok. Who das and mispashin? What is this? This Yaakov it really represents here, though. He says das and mispashit. You say Yaakov when you're talking about das and mispashit into the goof of zeranpin. B'sheish kitzvos hamakriya bein beis itrin, and the two into the two kitzvah being the same itrin. He said that spreads into the 6 kitzvos, which is the goof of the zeranpin. And this das that we're talking about here is machriya bein itri, the two itri. In other words, the funnel for those two. The nikra Yaakov Kanoida, and it's called Yaakov as is known. And we're going one more. V'ayin sham od ba'orech, and he says there's more to be seen over there, and we'll get it in detail. And let's see what I could do here. It says number memhe. V'nate kam roshe prakim b'divrei hazoer chai. Sham, and he said bedilug, bezera bezel l'shona v'das echod. So he says das echod is vav dalad, the vav and the dalad. Shuhu ba'aba machriya bein chub da'aba. So let's say like this: Abba is the yud, and he says that somehow that das, there is a das there, which is actually the final 2 letters of the milui of yud. Shehi ba'aba, that refers to Abba. So that's the extension of Abba, machriya bein chuv, which is in between. So he says the yud, the vav, and the dalad wind up in between Abba and Ima. So he says this is what balances out the chub, the Abba. V'hakol b'chinas chochma. I think that word is chaya, which is also chaya in the Narantchi. So he says, let's go on a little bit more. So he said, once again, he says, you have the Yud is Abba. He has an extension in the Mila, which is the Vav Dalad, and that's in between the Hey. So he said, I think that's what he says. That's one Das. But Das Hasheni is the do itself. Shehi Nechlal Be'ima, which is the part that is also incorporated in Ima. So first of all, it's generated by Abba, then it winds up inside of Ima, etc. Machriya bein chuv de Ima, so but it itself becomes a machriya in the chochma and bina of Ima. So this vav dalad is between Abba and Ima, and it's actually in Ima, and it's the aspect, he says, of the hachra between the chesed, the chochma and bina of Ima. For hakol besod neshama, and all of this is panemius. The idea is neshama. So maybe he meant that we're quoting here because previously he said that this first part was the bechina of chochma. So now, of chaya. Wow, I can't get my words out. I'm running too fast. So he says, so he wants to say that this part, when you go to Ima, then you're not talking about this whole is the concept of neshama. So that's the second das. So the first das is the das generated by Abba, going into Ima. Then inside of Ima, it's machriya between the chub of Ima. I think that's what it is. Then there's a third one, which is the sod of Yaakov. So machriya bein chesed the gevura shebedas. It's machriya between. I guess he meant the chesadim and the gevuras that are in das. Hanikra ruach, and this is called ruach. V'nikra Yaakov, but it's also ruach. It's also Yaakov. So Yaakov, we're getting a definition of Yaakov being really the small parts of Zer Anpin and Katnus. So these are three different ideas, portions of das, he says. V'yesh das, there's also a das. Machriya beina itrin. Now, what's the difference between this and what he said before? Before he said this is a das, the das which is a nikra ruach. Go back a little bit further. The das shlishi, so Yaakov hamachriya bein chesed the gevura shebedas. So I translated as chesadim and gevuros, but now he's coming back. I don't know if he means to say the das. I'm not sure. So he's like v'nikra ruach v'nikra Yaakov ve'educhem shlosha chelkei das v'yesh das. There's another machriya beina itrin. There's a das that's machriya between the itrin themselves. V'hu das amispashet v'nikra Yaakov. So now he wants to say, it says that Yaakov again over here. This is the das, or maybe he means to say, let's just take this one. And this is the das that's going to be mispashet. Avachavitrin itrin atzman, but the itrin themselves, which is hu Yisroel Dahainu Shir Kael Shir. So he says Shir itra de gevura, and Kael is itra de chesed. So that's normal way that I would think that it would be. He says that itrin themselves are Yisroel. That is, that name coming into them come from, I guess, from Yisroel Sabbat Tavuna. He says that the Shir is itra de gevura, and the Kael is the itra de chesed. Yisrael, the Osias, Yisrael, okay. The word Yisroel could also be Li Rosh. Now, what does this do for me? Ki Omer, Omed, Tamid, Barosh, Besod, Li Rosh. So that is that the Tarim, I think he means, are always up at the top. Omed Tamid Barosh Besod Li Rosh. That I guess this is I'm not sure about this word Li, but it means I have a head. It's at the top of it. So explain over there. Shlosha das. He says these three das. Echad, he goes over them again. Echad is das machriya bein chub de abba. So let's just say it like that. I might have translated it wrong. I might have thought that, because he said Vav Dalad, he said that Vav Dalad I thought was a machriya between Abba and Ima. Here he's saying that it's machriya between the chub of the 10 spheres of Abba. So he says, let's read it again. Das machriya bein chub de Abba. Zeh Yomar, this is the concept of this Yomer, Zeh speaking. Zeh is Zeranpin. Yomer will speak, I guess, through Abba, I'm not sure. But Mira Nikra Abba Amira. So in speaking or in talking, Mira speaking, Nikra Abba Amira Abba, when that concept applies to Abba. Amira, so that is Amira, that word. Afal Pishin is Pashet Bizroos Yud Base Prokim. So even though that extends down the arm into the 12 different prokim. Now, which prokim are we talking about? The arms and the legs? He has 3 in the arms, 3 in the legs. 3 in the legs, and on each side, that makes 12. Is that how we count the Gemisbar? And that comes out to be the gematria of Zeh. So it's another little thing that he's throwing here. He said we've been playing with the word Zeh. Who is Zeh? The phrase we're dwelling is Zeh Yomer. So he's putting Zeh, which is the prokim of Zeranpin, going down the right side and the left side, which refers to the spread of the mochin of Ima into the das of Zeranpin, Abba ve'Ima, going into the right and the left lines. So he says, let's read it back again. So he says, Ba'amira nikra Abba Amira. Abba is called Amira. So part of the phrase is Ba'amira. So he says, Af al pishin is pashet bezroas yud beis prokim, and even though it spreads into the arms, in 12 different sections of the arms. I think, and you have to have the legs, and that comes to the gematria of Zeh, Shorsh la Hashem. That is Shorshe la Hashem ani. This is the root of the la Hashem ani, of that concept la Hashem ani. He said, no, that's one. So let's look at back the whole thing again. It's a little bit hard for me. He says there's a das machriya beim chub da Abba, and then he goes into the concept that the Abba is Yomer. Ba'amira nikra Abba Amira. So Ba'amira, that is speaking, so talking, that Abba is called the talker. Afal Pishan is Pasha Bizroas Yud Beis Prokim, even though he says, even though that it spreads down the two lines, which corresponds to the concept of the first word of this quote, which is Zeh, 12, Shorshe lo Hashem ani, I am the roots of this. Oh, he says, so this was number base. Now this word, this phrase, this yichtov idea. So this yichtov is, he said previously, we have been saying that it refers to Ima. Ima is the writer. Besod Siva, that this concept of writing, besod gevuras b'shor shabina. So this is the gevuras, what it was writing. Writing is making an impression. I guess it is a gevura. So he said b'shor shabina, besod hachsiva, which is the secret of this writing. His avos hadavarim, which this is a phrase that the faster he uses the word his avos hadavarim, the things or the words become thicker as a result of writing them. So again, the words of besod hakasiva, his avos hadavarim ba'osios, thickening of the words in letters, letters of the chasiva. So this, he says, this is a life force. So it's a little bit hard for me to work with the metaphors, and nothing comes specifically to mind. He said, so he says, b'shorish b'chsav b'bina ben yud k, because he says again the root of the concept of writing in bina is that bina is the ben yak. So what does it mean that? It says yak yichtov yud shalo into a daled and above shalo besod yado. Now I'll read this again. He wanted to say, he said the phrase was a yichtov yado. So he says once again, v'shorsh b'chsav bebina ben yak yichtov, and he will write Yud Shalo, there's a Yud there in Yak, and there's also a Du Shalo, which I guess would be the Hey. And you put them two together, you get the word Yado. So Yado is supposed to mean the concept of Ben Yud and K. Now, Ben Yud and K, is between them, I'm not sure. Hakol Meshorsh Lamala Babinas, but he means to say that the whole thing comes from its root in Bina. Where is it going to go? It's going to go l'chavaya. Kisham b'chochma, because over there in chochma, we have the shorish kol Hashem. We have the root of the entire name is there. Ubabina chabagam came shorish kol Hashem. So bina also has all the root. Yud and K chochma bina, which refers to chochma bina. Vav K refers to the Pharos of Malchus. Mushrashim sham, and they're all rooted there. I also want to kind of finish this up a little bit. So he says, V'zeh das hashlishi. So this, what we just talked about there, and is the third das. Hamispashet, which spreads into the guf. Hamachriya ben Itrin di Yaakov. So the Itrin, which are in the das, I guess now of Yaakov, he says that the ben Itrin, which is Yaakov. Yaakov, I guess, represents the spread of the Itrin. So therefore, it's called by the name Yaakov. Number Dalet. Aval v'shem Yisroel, this name Yisroel Shir Kael Shir Itrin. So there's the two intrin. That's to tell you that Yechoine Shemiskash b'Shorsha. That is, it's spread. It's Shemiskasher. So I guess the preparation is what ties it to its root. Besod yomam or kadmoa. This word yomam, which means that everything is inside of it, or kadmoa. This is an original light. The azel im kuhul that goes with all of it. The kuhul yomim, it goes through all of the spheros. Hamispashtim umevasem osam umamtikin. Now this is all a quote, and it's a little hard to see exactly where it all goes together. They go out. The kuhul yomim, it goes into all of the spheros. Hamispashtim umevasem osam umamtikin, that spread, sweetens them, and also perfumes them. Okay, so this is about it. He says, Yechana mamash shemamtikim ba'or kadmoa, so it has to be prepared particularly, and also it takim ba'or kadmoa, and it sweetens everything with that upper light, the original light, ad kan v'ayin sham od. I'm sure I could have done a better job, but that's it. That's what I got today.